Hey guys, what's going on? Jake here, and welcome back to another episode of the F124 Driver Career Mode. Now in Season 2, now, as announced in the last episode, the season opener in Bahrain, we are with Aston Martin, and our teammate is the two-time world champion, Fernando Alonso. So if you want to see how that race went, I'm about to spoil it. Go check it out. It will be on the channel, right, a couple videos maybe before this one. But we won that race with a one-stop versus the two-stop. We held off Max Verstappen and won the race. So for this race, the Australian Grand Prix, we had high hopes. We had good pace, but we had okay pace in Bahrain. We had better pace than Fernando at least. But yeah, it was a very ponderous question in the media whether we were going to have good pace here at Australia. So let's just head straight into quali and find out. So here we are. Okay, right. Already in Q1 looking like we're setting a bit of a scruffy lap here as we're 2 tenths down on the McLarens through the middle sector. So the first and middle sector are normally quite strong for me in quali, and yet we are 2 tenths down. So it probably means, well, it probably indicates how much of a scruffy lap we are doing right now. I mean, that was okay, but even that doesn't look confident, and that as well. I mean, I could have got tighter to that curb. And then through this final sector, we actually don't do too badly within this final sector, other than going a little bit wide, but we get on the power relatively early. We have to fight the car and strangle it through, but in the end, we come up to the line, only setting a 16.9, which is 2 tenths off Piastri and Norris. And in the end, we only ended up doing the wrong run, and it was 7 tenths slower than Fernando, and only just about got us through by 2 or 3 tenths into Q2. So there was a bit of a risk there we get knocked out. Verstappen just set a 15.7, 1.2 seconds quicker than what we set in the last session. So let's see what we can do now, hopefully with a better lap, but we're already down to 19% ERS. Cutting that curve as fine as you like. Running a little bit wide there, so that might be half a tenth there if we can get a better run. But as you can see, we are already, well, we're out of ERS at the minute, but the deployment is still there as we clip a little bit of the grass there. The back end could have stepped out, but just about doesn't. I mean, the aim is to try and get through to Q3 with just the one run. So can we do it? If we can hook up these final few corners, I've got a feeling we might just about be able to. And we do. We hook it up quite nicely, skimming that wall though. Maybe a little bit of time lost there, but up to the line, it's going to be a 15.9 pretty much. Actually, a 16 exactly, which is crazy. And it ends up putting us P2 in the session, 3 tenths off Max, and a tenth quicker than Fernando. But it's very close. And into Q3, we now have 2 sets of fresh tyres, so we can set a banker on a fresh set, and then we can try maybe go for a quick lap. Obviously, I try not to use flashbacks in quali nowadays. I mean, we cut that curve heavily and get a better run through that right-hander. But up towards the final sector we come. This is what makes or breaks a lap. As again, we skim the grass, but we send it nicely through there. Can we gain a little bit of time through here? Maybe a little bit cautious as we run wide, brilliant. And then we catch the grass again there, and we have a scruffy final few corners. And now this means there's definitely time in this lap. We set a 16 exactly in the second part of qualifying. We set a 15.9, but there's still definitely time to find. So we need to go out there and we need to find it. As we are now a tenth off Fernando, and it's a Fernando Alonso and Jake Eisberg, Aston Martin 3 and 4. But look at that, as we come out for our final run, there's a little train going on. Hold on a minute, let's have a look. Fernando Alonso's at the back of this train, but as you can see, everyone is being held up by, it looks like, the Mercedes. Which means that we have an open goal for pole position, potentially. Verstappen, though, goes quicker. He wasn't in that train. He sets a 15.5. We need to find 4 tenths. Is there 4 tenths in the final sector? Well, we're already a tenth down on our best lap, and it's not going to get any better from here, as we're going to make a mistake soon enough. And there it is. A little mistake there loses us almost half a tenth. So potentially an extra 2 tenths on this lap time so far. Into the final sector we go, which was really scruffy. Through this corner, we gained time. It wasn't even the best we could have taken it, and that, but we still find almost 3 tenths up to the line. It's going to end up being 2.5 tenths up to the line, and that's going to be enough to get a 15.7, and it's going to be enough to overtake Alonso and get P3 for that teammate rivalry. And in the end, we were only a tenth and a half, so if we'd have set a good lap, potentially poles on the cards there, but Leclerc only half a tenth off, and Alonso in P4, which means for the first time ever, myself and a teammate are in the graphic, and I don't need to take 2 different screenshots. So P3 and 4 for myself and Fernando. Could be a little bit of teammate teamwork there, as we have 2 cars in that strategy for the battle for the lead, whereas everyone else only has 2. It's going to be a simple, medium-hard strategy. But first of all, we are going to need a good grid slot. So up to the grid it will be. We're going to aim ourselves to the left. We're going to try go around the outside into turn 1, potentially take the lead, which is what we did, I think, last season in the Haas. But I think we were also in pole, so we didn't get a good start last season. Can we get a better one this season? 5 red lights, and it's lights, and away we go. But again, no, we lose a position to Fernando. We lost a position to Norris, and now here comes Oscar Piastri. But there's a gap open around the outside. We're not going to send it on Alonso. Alonso has got us, but we are still in P4 and P3 as the Aston Martin coefficient. And then on lap 3, there's not really much to write home about. I get the fastest lap, but it's just a case of we're in a DRS train right now, and we're just a bit stuck. Nothing's really happening. We're not really being attacked. We're not attacking, because as you can clearly see, we're being carried along by Alonso, and the team told me to overtake him because he's causing us trouble. But I refuse this offer, as he manages to carry me away from that pack, and even though the rear left is burning and screaming, Fernando Alonso has essentially carried me away from losing P4. So within this race, we now have 2.3 seconds to the cars behind, and I'm guaranteed a top 4 finish now. And that is thanks to Fernando Alonso towing me along. So with only 0.2 laps left to overtake him, I'm simply going to refuse team orders and not overtake my teammate because of him carrying me along. We could now maybe do an undercut, get into the lead, help Alonso out. This could be a very, very good race, but the rear left is still screaming out. And as these guys are battling up ahead, almost getting a second away from me, luckily they fight, I can kind of tell now that we're being caught up because the battling is getting too much. And instead of working together, these guys want to fight too much. So it's going to be a case of, let's box in now. The rear left is screaming, both temperatures and percentage of wear. Let's box in for a set of hards to do 19 laps. We know they'll easily make it. So let's box in and try get a mega undercut on the front 3. They will have DRS, but I'll have the fresher tyres, so it should still come out as a net undercut unless we drive really poorly. So where are we going to come out? It looks like we're going to come out just behind my former teammate, Nico Hülkenberg. So let's see if we can make a quick meal out of him. As here we come now. After we come out in between him and Tsunoda. Already pulled that second on Tsunoda. But now we're closing in on Nico Hülkenberg, looking to make a move. We should definitely have made the move into the chicane, by the way, in hindsight. But instead, we opt to sit behind him, which probably costs us quite a bit of time, as, you know, we get a bit too close, and then we have to take it poorly. And then here we come on Hülkenberg. Eventually now, going to use a bit of ERS and just make sure that this move is finished off. And up ahead, it looks like the kick Sauber of Valtteri Bottas has just binned it. No, that was Zhou, sorry. He's just binned it for no reason. It could have been a safety car, which would have absolutely ruined our race, but luckily not. As here we come now through the middle sector, looking to overtake Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. We were a second behind coming into this sector, so let's see how close we are now by the time we get onto the straights where we can make the overtakes. We go from a second behind to, by the time we exit this corner, only 2.5 tenths behind the Alpine driver, which just shows the onset of tyre difference, which means now, through this middle sector, we're not going to make the same mistake we made with Nico Hülkenberg, and we're going to get the move done as quickly as possible around the outside of Pierre Gasly. He will eventually back out into the chicane. He knows it's not worth it, and we are now up into P13. On lap 13, we are now looking to make a move on Kevin Magnussen and Alexander Albon. So here we go. Magnussen, Albon. Here we go. Can we make potentially a double move? Magnussen is close to Albon, but we're close to them both. And we know we've got the better braking performance. We send it into the corner, and we get both in one and make the corner as well. What a beautiful move that is. But on the end of that lap, it's now time for the leaders to box. Alonso stays out, but in comes Verstappen and the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Can we potentially get an undercut on these drivers? It'll be crucially important. If we can, there's smoke from our car. No. For around the final corner. It's terminal. It's terminal. We're out of the Grand Prix. We are out of the Australian Grand Prix. Would we have undercut us? Yes. We had undercut both Verstappen and Leclerc. We had undercut them both. But we are out of the Grand Prix in a cruel manner. Oh, no. No, 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 no. I can't believe it. Our first retirement of the whole series. And it comes as we have just made an undercut on Max Verstappen and Leclerc to take the lead of the Grand Prix. I'm in disbelief. I can't believe it. I've been robbed.
The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
I mean, I'm happy Alonso still got a podium, but Leclerc and Alonso finished 10 seconds away from Max. I had him undercut. I could have at least held him up and made this an interesting race. I could have got Alonso a win, maybe. That is... I can't believe it. I mean, what does that mean for the championship? I didn't even check the championship at the time, but when we eventually did, it means that now we are second in the Constructors, 25 points behind Red Bull. Verstappen takes the lead of the championship from us, and we are now dropped down to P3 behind Charles Leclerc, and Alonso is only P7 still. And after that, a mechanical failure gives us minus points. Why? Like, that makes no sense. But you know what makes up for it, guys? We're going to get ourselves from the team. They're like, oh yeah, we actually know what the issue was now. Here's 400 R&D points. Thanks a lot. That's half a major upgrade. Cheers, guys. That's brilliant. And do you want to know what's even more annoying? The part that failed was a control electronics. We only have 2. And you don't get an extra one for free. Which means we are now guaranteed to have to start from the back of the grid at some point in this season. Because of that failure. I mean, that has really, really fucked us up. I am absolutely fuming. I can't lie. I mean, I knew there was going to be a failure at some point. I turned them on halfway through last season, and it's taken almost a whole season to get one. But it comes at a race where we had good pace. Well, we had decent pace, especially with the DRS of Alonso. And we were setting ourselves up for a potentially unreal race where we could have had Alonso win. But in the end, we have to settle for a retirement. So... yeah, brilliant. Season break, which good time to reset. But after the season break, the luck doesn't go our way again, as another part fails, which luckily we'll get on for the Miami Grand Prix. But we now almost have the best chassis, which is quite nice. We also have the best aero. We have a really good powertrain. Sorry, the best powertrain. We don't have a great aero, and our aero parts are failing. But even without those aero parts, we now have the best chassis and the best powertrain, and we are the second quickest car on the grid. So as soon as we get these aero upgrades on, which will come in time for Imola, which is quite nice, be quite helpful, we will be cooking. We should, I say, but we could even be close to Red Bull, which means that Alonso and I could be winning races very soon, which is very, very exciting. We're now the second quickest team on the grid, which, with 2 drivers like myself and Fernando, could only mean one thing. In Miami, we need to try come back and fight for a win, maybe even a 1-2. But that is going to be all for this episode of the F124 Driver Career Mode. Unfortunately, we retire from the race and we end up with no points. But we're going to come back stronger in Miami, even though, I'm going to be honest with you, I absolutely hate racing in Miami. The straight line speed is ridiculous. So let's just try and have fun, I guess. See you next time.